the revolutionary FAR overhaul, we have updates to FAR Parts 1, which still does allow, it's still in there, that agencies can still create their own supplemental regulation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Capital Edge Tip Line. I'm Chad Braley, the CEO here at Capital Edge. And this week, we're going to touch on three things. One, some updates from DOE. Two, a quick blurb about DCAA. And then third, and probably what people are most interested in, the RFO, the Revolutionary FAR Overhaul. And I will tell everyone that I have checked the website before I hit play. There are no updates as of the time of this recording. By the time this recording gets out, obviously that could change. So I'm going to jump right into it. Department of Energy, we've got memorandums for state and local governments, a separate memorandum for not-for-profit entities, and a separate memorandum for for-profit entities. It's kind of all, they have different numbers, but it's kind of all together. Basically establishing indirect cost limitations for each of those different groups. State and local governments being capped at 10% of indirect costs, and then for and not-for-profit organizations receiving federal assistance from the Department of Energy capped at 15% indirect costs. Now, we've seen this kind of playing out a little bit in NIH and Health and Human Services. I know there's some legal cases that I don't currently have an update on because I think they're still kind of working their way in the system. What's interesting here is, so the 15%, we're going to apply that as an amount, right, of the total award. So let's say $1 million of other costs, 15% indirect, $150,000. That's the amount, the cap, it says, that the indirect costs that can be reimbursed will be capped at. Now, what's also interesting is they all reference inclusive of fringe benefits, where in many federal assistance agreements, fringe benefits have historically been treated as direct. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but that is out there. We've gotten a lot of calls about it in the past few days in terms of evaluating changes to the rate structures of organizations that are pursuing those funding opportunities. This applies to new awards, which means the notice of funding opportunity, the NOFO as we sometimes call it, is not out. That's how they define a new award. Or conditional awards where the NOFO is out, but the award has not been actually fully executed. So it could work its way if you are kind of in that little bit of no man's land of, we've been selected, but we don't have the award. This could be coming. So it's something we need to think about. Number two, DCAA. Not a lot to necessarily talk about there, but something that I kind of wanted to highlight. And this feels very, with everything that's going on, from a, let's reduce spending, let's, identify opportunities for fraud, waste, and abuse, and call that money back. There have been, I think, 6 to 8 DCAA final contract, or supported by DCAA, but contracting officer final decisions, COFDs, of potential disputes around audits, rates, CAS non-compliance, that have dollars associated with them that have been pretty silent on the audit front. And then all of a sudden, these clients are getting hit with, hey, this is our final decision, you owe us money, or we'll see you in the disputes process. So just want to kind of put that out there. The other thing I found interesting is when you go to DCAA's website and you look at some of those updates that are on the website, like in the news section, it's all about fraud, waste, and abuse, and these different cases where they've called back $12 million, $15 million, $30 million, whatever the case may be. So I find that you can expect more aggressiveness, I think, and less flexibility in some of these areas of dispute, whether it's a CAS non-compliance, whether it's question costs from an incurred cost submission standpoint, and or C, D, all of the above. Last but certainly not least, the revolutionary FAR overhaul. We have updates to FAR Parts 1, which still does allow, it's still in there, that agencies can still create their own supplemental regulation. And if they don't like something in the revolutionary FAR overhaul, I think from a statutory perspective, it's a hard time. There's some legalese in there, if you will, but my high level view, right, they've looked at Parts 1, Part 34, and then 52, but only Part 52 in the sense that it relates to clauses related to Part 1 or Part 34. So they took out a couple EVMS clauses related to Part 34. I would say my initial take is this has been, somewhat underwhelming. I think there is a lot more in the FAR that is statutory than people thought when we started going down this road. So we're awaiting other section updates. Obviously, there's about 49 other parts of the FAR that need to be evaluated and redlined, and removing those items that are not statutory. On the buying guide side, that's the information that is non-statutory in the FAR that they're going to take out and put in strategic buying guides. That is, there's nothing out there on that yet because we haven't really gotten through the rest of the section. So really nothing material to update here. And it'd be interesting, I think, to see how this plays out in terms of what we end up with through the revolutionary FAR overhaul, and then how the other agencies who still have the ability to supplement that, right, and have additional requirements, kind of how that plays out from an industry perspective. So I've probably spoken too long. I hope everyone has a fantastic week. We'll keep you posted as we learn more and try to share some of these both public information and some of the just kind of what we're seeing through our clients and dealing with different agencies and dealing with DCMA and DCAA, et cetera. So that's a wrap for this week. This is Chad Braley. If you have any other questions, you want to reach out on LinkedIn or message through the email on the website, please feel free to do that. Happy to answer any questions people may have. And until then, we'll talk to you next week.